Hello and welcome to Low Carb Conversations. I'm your host, Leah Williamson. I'm with my host, Holly Jean. Welcome, Holly.
Hello, hi.
Today we are talking to Jackie Bowker. She is the CEO of the Global Feel Better Institute. She is a two-time master degree qualified functional nutritionist and combines psycholinguistics with functional medicine principles to create new patterns, new triggers, and breaking old patterns and old behaviors that have kept you stuck. Welcome to the podcast, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Leah and Holly. It is so good to be here. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it.
I'm so excited to talk to you because Jackie and I have known each other for quite some time now. We actually studied together in 2016. I think Jackie, was that the start of just the beginning of some of your excellent, amazing things that you've been doing, a little bit of start of that journey into studying functional linguistics and patterns and things like that?
Yes. That was the time of my life where I went back into my roots and, always being a scientist, studied science, medical science at university. And then I suppose went on a journey of the sexiness of marketing and digital marketing until I had a health crisis, much like most health practitioners, and went back to my roots. I really needed to dig deeper and find out what was going on. I wasn't getting answers from conventional medicine. And so I went back and got a Master of Human Nutrition, did functional nutrition, bolted on, and I've just kept bolting on more and more holistic certifications, real craving. I crave lifelong learning, as I'm sure you guys do. So absolutely, functional nutrition blew my mind, learning about this $1 trillion machine that we have that no one taught us how to use.
Yes, that's so true. And I've just watched you go from blossom and blossom and blossom, and you just keep blossoming. It's just amazing to watch this journey. So what was the health crisis that triggered? Do you want to talk a little bit about that and what kind of led you to change what you were doing?
Absolutely. And I suppose I'll start by saying I'm not alone. My research now, we've put out a energy quiz, a 10-question how's your energy quiz. And we've surveyed over 11,000 people now worldwide that have taken that quiz. And what I realize in the results of that is that we're in this place where we're so burnt out. We're so disconnected. Burnout is now 95% of people are now reporting that they're burnt out, and it's enough for the World Health Organization to classify it as an occupational phenomenon. And that's just not right. So that's in a nutshell what happened to me. My desire to climb the corporate ladder and be in a position of power, which is what I craved. Now we know I'm a person that really needs that dopamine hit, and I was getting it from work. I was getting it from the accolades that I got from climbing that corporate ladder, from continuing to be promoted, from running, the importance of having a large team, from needing to reply to an email at 3 a.m. in the morning, from not realizing that that's an unhealthy behavior to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning in the first place. And all I wanted to do was jump on my phone and reply to anybody that had sent me an email overnight so that they got that response from me, so that I was continuing to serve them. So, that can only go on so long, as we know. Our organs literally wear out, and I suffered a very steep decline that we now know as burnout. Our adrenal glands are supposed to be the size of walnuts. I shudder to think what mine were, but we know from autopsies when they dissect people that have been burnt out that they can be the size of a pea. And so, my mission now is to take people from feeling bad to feeling better. And I combine what's going on spiritually and emotionally and using the science of what's going on medically. And I think this is a much needed service. So that's my mission, and living that life of service. That's something that I can give back, because I'm not alone. There are millions more like me that need this help.
Oh, yeah, it's so true. And so many people probably, like you're saying, disconnected and living this way without even realizing this is their new normal. So how do you kind of like say to people, this isn't normal? Like, what are some of the signs and symptoms that people experience that can be leading to this burnout and they're not even realizing?
Oh, such a great question, Leah. I mean, when we surveyed people, and this staggered me, this was astounding, 0.3% classify themselves as thriving. 99.7% of people are in survival mode. So, what does that mean? And we know everybody's different. So we have to look at the sample size of so N equals 1. You have to look at yourself and look at what is going on in your personal circumstance. So, why are you just surviving, and how can we get you to a place of feeling bad to feeling better, and really dissecting that? But, we know that we're in a global crisis. It's been a few really tough years. People are more disconnected than ever before. Our research shows that, I have to get the exact stat for you because I don't want to mess this up, but we've got 43% of people that have less than 2 people that they're close to. And, this is an energy quiz. So we looked at a number of different factors that contribute to what makes you have good energy, what makes you vital. And that's not just what's on the end of your fork, or how many good poops you do a day, or how much you worry. It's about connection and community. We know from the blue zones, they're people that are living these long, vital lives. Connection and community has been defined as, the number one link to longevity. So it's really, really important that people look at what's going on for their personal circumstance.
Yeah, those statistics are just astounding, aren't they? And yeah, connection, such a big one there. I often find like we were just talking off air, both Jackie and I going through flooding situation. And I just always find, even though we live in big cities, we don't often speak to our neighbors. It's not until these times of crisis that people actually come together and realize. Yes. And I think like, why didn't I know this neighbor before their house was flooding? And, why didn't I talk to this person before? Or one time I remember it was Anzac Day during the pandemic, and everybody came out to the street and did their own ceremony and like connected together. And I was like, I've lived in this street for 15 years and there was people there that I had never even laid eyes on before. And I just felt like, why can't we connect together more? Why do we need these times of crisis to come together? Why do you think, Jackie, why aren't we connecting with one another anymore?
Well, I think it gets back to the original thing that we were talking about. We're so burnt out. If most of the world is feeling like they're burnt out, you just can't be your best self. When I went from feeling bad to feeling better, what I realized was that, and my whole business is the Global Feel Better Institute is about feeling better. And people sometimes say to me, oh, that's a bit funny. Like, of course, everybody wants to feel better. And it's like, well, when you feel, everyone's on a different journey of feeling better. So now I feel fantastic, but I still want to feel better. So it's about trying to help people crave feeling better, so they want to feel better. But when you're feeling bad, like so bad, you can't even see, you can't see those neighbors that you want to connect with. So my whole mission is about taking people from feeling bad, because when you start to feel better, what you want to do is give back, and what you want to do is live a life of service. And so that's really, that's really what I'm passionate about. But getting back to your question, why, I just think it's because we've got ourselves in a state of feeling so bad for so many reasons. We know people, and that we survey people as well. We know people aren't getting the adequate amount of sleep. We know people aren't eating whole foods. We know people aren't moving enough. So it's, these seem like the real basics, but if we don't do these things, we know that our organs degrade and we end up feeling bad. We know that we're constantly in a place where we're not having positive, productive thoughts about ourselves. So all of that contributes to how well we feel. And if we're not feeling good about ourselves, we can't be in a position where we're ready to connect and contribute and come together as a tribe.
So true. I read something the other day where it said once you start feeling a little bit better, you'll be more inclined to do things that make you feel better. Are you under the same kind of belief? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You just realize that, a lot of the time we look at children and we look at the addiction to devices or addictive behaviors. We need dopamine, and dopamine comes from that. We can get it from unhealthy behaviors, like, gaming or being on a device, or, substances, or we can get it from checking off a task list and things like that. So we need that regardless. We're going to get it for ourselves. It's just, where do we get it from? Do we get it from behaviors that support us, or are we getting it from behaviors that are not supporting us?
Yeah, so true. Well, that quiz, if people want to take that, we'll link that up into the show notes, right? They can go to your website and find it there as well.
Yeah. And I would love that. It's 10 questions, 2 minutes. And the whole point is I'm a spiritual scientist. It's my mission to connect you to your intuition. We are all intuitives. It's not just you have to go to an intuitive. And so, I like to think of myself as a medical intuitive, and that's part of my practice. It's not about me. It's not about a God complex. I'm not the guru. You are the guru. So the guidance comes from you. So if we can help you connect better into your intuition. So the 10 question, how's your energy quiz, is great because, as I said before, it asks you about sleep and diet and what's your pooping like and does your butt itch, all those things. But we're also asking you, are you lonely? Do you worry? Do you have fears? And then we give you a report that starts to open up your eyes and give you some awareness about what might be going on for you. And, I'm very passionate about the gut. And so it very much will bring it back to, are you in a place where you are just surviving? And if you are, here's a place to start. And once we plant that seed, you can't unlearn that. Like once we've planted the seed that perhaps you might have something going on in your gut or your brain, hopefully you can go on a journey to find out more.
Yeah, that sounds so great. Well, we'll link that up into the show notes. I'm going to throw over to Holly now. She's got the first article, and let's dive a little bit deeper into this holistic picture.
Oh my gosh, you said so many things that I just resonate with. And all of that, I want to just ask a couple things before we dive into this article, because it kind of ties together. But when you're talking about burnout and how it can be, because we're so busy and we're trying to achieve so much and doing so much. And when you were talking about like being in the corporate world and climbing that corporate ladder, like I remember that because that used to be me as well. But I also feel like so much of my burnout, and I can't believe I'm alone in this, but it was living this life that I just wasn't passionate about. Like, even though I was wanting to succeed, I was wanting to be successful, and I wanted to climb that corporate ladder, I was doing things that I did not enjoy. And I feel like, can you talk about how when we're not living in alignment with what our goals are or what our passion is or what our purpose is, like how does that affect us on a health and a spiritual level?
Oh, that is, Holly, that is such a great question. And you're right, you're not alone. And I find so many times we find ourselves in a position that might be right at the time. And that's where we were on that journey. And then we evolve. And I'm a big believer in that there aren't any coincidences. If we can just listen to the messages that are being delivered to us and the circumstances we're being put in and just grab for that next thing and grab for that next thing. But if we're in this place of being so burnt out that we can't, life is cloudy, we've got brain fog, we've got migraines, and we can't see those messages that are so clear. And then you get, you might start to feel better by changing some things in your lifestyle, and then it drops, and you're like, oh, that is, so clear now. Like now I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. So getting back to your question, and we've got a question on that, so I'll get this stat right for you. And it's about living a meaningful life. So it was a really big part of our quiz. So 57% of people are not doing work that is meaningful. And that's, yeah. So, I mean, that's astounding. That's more than half of us. And this was me. It was meaningful at the start. Oh, it was a really sexy job. I've, lived and worked in one of the biggest advertising agencies lived in New York City, and, in such a great space, worked in one of the most exciting, advanced agencies in the world. And I'm so grateful for that experience because it shaped me for who I am. And then it was time to move on. And so because I didn't hear those messages, the knocks on the door, and the knocks on the door got louder and louder and louder, and until I had my health crisis. So, I'm very clear now that health crisis was just part of my journey to get to where I am today. So I'm so grateful that I was so unwell, and now I can really empathize with the millions of other people. And so if we can just help people to listen to the messages so that they can follow that path and be that intuitive, because that doing meaningful work really does contribute to you feeling better. You're waking up I remember years ago when I was deciding to leave my corporate career, and I was with one of my mentors at the time, and he said, do you leap out of bed and can't wait to get to work? And I was like, no, not that I loved the company. I loved my job. I loved my team. And I was like, no. And he's like, why are you doing it? I was like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense. Of course, I shouldn't be doing something where I'm not leaping out of bed every day. And it takes courage to make that change. But when you do meaningful work, and when you're, you come from the world, with rose-colored glasses, and when you're in that place of giving and being grateful and thankful, so much, you receive more than you could ever expect. Does that answer your question? I feel like I went on.
Oh my gosh, no, it does. And I feel like a lot of people can probably resonate. I mean, I know so many people just in these last couple of years have been reflecting on what they want to do in their life, and questioning their health and questioning their purpose, and all these things are at this beautiful cusp of all coming together. And so I love this conversation. I'm going to bring in this article now. It's called "Wellness Experts Claim Alternative Healing Can Work When Medical Science Does Not." This is stuff that we know, but a little summary of the article. Its experts are asserting that holistic wellness is the key to good health and can bring out our healthiest and happiest version, while alternative healing can work when medical science does not. So even healthcare providers and people who are treating patients with cancer, they are now looking at new ways to help them with physiological and emotional well-being, and therapy, and spiritual concerns. And it's really this whole holistic evolution. And in our practices, we know, we experience and see that holistic wellness approach, it does deliver tangible results. And sometimes modern medical science falls short. And a lot of times that's where we get our clients from, is when they're not finding the answers of the solutions that they want. So Jackie, I want you to tell us about your experience with working with clients from this holistic level. I know you're addressing thoughts, nutrition and sleep and stress and lifestyle factors. How do you know where to start?
Oh, such a great question. And it ties into your question earlier, which is about, doing meaningful work and how does that affect your health? When you're assessing someone from a holistic perspective, and if I look at my ideal client, who I work with, ambitious, successful people who look like they've got it all together on the outside, and they are just crumbling on the inside. And it doesn't matter, they've tried a lot of things and haven't got the answers. And so when I'm working with with her, let's say, she's coming to me in a really dark place, but you would never know, because she's powerful and, she's a professional. So she can hide it really well. And, us mums, we can do that, right? We can put on this facade of having it all together. And, I'll get back to that. If there's one of her, there's millions more like her. And so my work is to ask questions that she hasn't answered before. And let me rephrase that. I ask questions that she hasn't been asked before. And so she hasn't had the chance to answer before. So if you ask someone what's going on for them and what their biggest priorities are, the body is incredible. We have incredible innate intelligence. She will tell you what's going on, and she will also give you the answer for how to fix it. And so that doesn't come from me. My job is, we call it the Asumitaka, it's the keeper of the sacred space. My job is to be the guide and grow her awareness about where her body's priorities are coming from. So, we ask questions that what's going on emotionally, what's going on psychologically, and then, medically, we have to find out what's going on in the gut. So, I run tests that conventional medicine doesn't run. We run DNA stool tests. We run hormone Dutch dried urine hormone tests. We run full blood chemistry, not just one thyroid marker or one liver marker or one iron marker. We have to look at what's going on emotionally and what's going on medically, and we combine them, and then we have a picture of her. She's a smart woman. We present it back to her, and it's the first time she's ever being explained what's going on in her body. And then we craft a protocol for her, not for someone else, but for her. And then, she's an intelligent woman, and she goes forth and just implements the protocol. So that's my approach. Just give people the data, and that's what she's saying. And the words that people use are really powerful. If people use words that indicate that they're being held back from what they want to achieve, and it could be anything, I've always had, this is a classic, I've always had gut problems, or I've always been a bad sleeper. So they're easy, biologically rebalancing people, it's easy. But it's really helping people understand how to reframe their perception so that they can get what they want, so they can get to the destination. That's the power. That's how to help these very ambitious, intelligent people to unleash their greatness.
Yeah, I'm glad you just brought that up, because that kind of leads into my next question. So you have this Psych K training, and you work with people on changing their thinking patterns. Tell us about how powerful the subconscious is, and how, even though maybe you're presenting this report back to her and she's understanding it and she's reading it and she's like, yes, 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 I understand what I need to do. But sometimes those people get stuck, and we can know exactly what we need to do. We can look at exactly what's going on in our bodies, but somehow, sometimes in our minds, we just can't make those changes, or we keep falling back into those same patterns or habits that are keeping us stuck. So tell us about how all that works.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Holly. And I think this is it's a really good question, because my training as a nutritionist did not teach me to be a coach, and they're two really different things.
Yep.
So, asking questions that instead of dictating is very, very powerful, and coming up with a plan. So for me, it's about raising awareness about what's going on. That's the data. So a lot of practitioners are very good at, this is what's going on and this is what you're going to do, but that doesn't create behavior change. So really working with the person to create these small rituals that they're going to do. So what I do that works, that produces results, is when I'm working with someone and we come up with a plan, it's an agreed plan. So first of all, I'm not going to work with you unless you want the transformation more than me. I cannot want it more than you. It's a waste of both of our time, and certainly it's a waste of your money. So, and we just it's never going to work because I get frustrated, you get frustrated, and then I don't look like I've got your results. And hello, I wouldn't be a very good practitioner if I didn't get your results. So as your spiritual scientist, spiritual mentor, I'm there to collaborate with you. I'm your equal. I'm not, on some sage on the stage, and we work together to craft a plan that we both agree to. So, I'm there to hold you accountable, and we agree on tiny action steps that are achievable, because we're all like that. It's like, oh, it's January. I really didn't get to the gym last year. I really want to be fit and toned. So I'm going to go to the gym like 5 times and do this 45-minute workout. Completely unrealistic, right? And I'm using that example as because that's what everybody says in January. And then the end of the January, the gym's completely quiet again, right?
Yes, I do love how empty my gym is right now, because I did not like last month. Like, finally.
That's right, because everyone's got, and that is just a cycle of constant failure. So what if I asked you to do 1 5-minute, or we agreed, you came up with something, and then usually I have to just a third it or half it, but whatever you say, we pull it back. And it's something that, what if you did 5 minute, a 5-minute workout, you did it at home. What's the, Coco and I did it last week, the kids coach, what's his name, Joe, anyway, he does these like cute 5-minute videos on YouTube, and so we did a 5-minute one, and like we celebrated, and that's what I did that week, and so I feel like I've succeeded. And then if I do 3 of those 5-minute workouts, I have like overachieved. I'm feeling awesome about myself. But if I only did 1, I still achieved, and I'm still feeling awesome about myself. So yeah, I think for me, it's about coming up with an agreed plan that is achievable and that works in your lifestyle, because we've all got so much that we want to achieve, and there's nothing worse than feeling like a failure. So yeah, I really believe that we need to be celebrating ourselves. I teach people to get up in the morning and look at themselves in the mirror and say, geez, you're awesome. You look at you. And whether it's your eyes are beautiful today, or I love, like, one of the hardest things is the shower talk. Like, you're naked, you're about to get in the shower, stop and tell yourself what a beautiful body you have. The amount of people that aren't able to verbalize those words, it's heartbreaking. So, we have these beautiful bodies. We have an incredible machine, and it's just going to give back to you what you ask for. And what you ask for is your words. So if you're constantly telling yourself that you can do better, that you should be looking, but you should, my goodness, should's just got to be removed from the dictionary, that you should be looking better, instead of, you're doing an awesome job, and I'm excited about this year and the goals that we're going to smash. How, if you can be feeling like that and celebrating yourself, imagine the vibration that you're going to give out to everybody that you come into contact with.
Yeah, that's so true. And like, just putting out that energy and flipping that script. And you're right, like with you, there's so much power when it comes to verbalizing those things too, and verbalizing positivity instead of just like keeping those thought loops in your mind. And the article even says how the holistic wellness, like, it all starts with just educating patients, educating our clients about what they can do, and giving them those small little steps. I totally agree with that. Leah, did you have anything you wanted to ask or add on in this article?
Not with this article, but I think it's the conversation's definitely tying in great with the next article. So
okay,
if you're finished with the questions for that,
yeah.
Move straight into this one.
Yeah, I was just teeing it up for you.
Oh yeah, thanks. Brilliant segue there. Thanks, Holly. Teamwork here. All right. So I like this article. It was talking about from childhood, what self-limiting beliefs that you've brought through. So we're talking about why are beliefs so hard to change? Maybe it's stemming from childhood, and this is something you've been burdened with your entire life, that it's just something that's become your normal. So this article is talking about a boy called Bill who didn't see himself as a leader, and he was shy, and he sat in the back of the classroom, and the teacher said to his parents once, he's more of a follower than a leader. And so 25 years on, Bill had convinced himself that he was just a follower. He would never make a good leader. And you know, I like what this article says, your beliefs stick even when they don't serve you well. So, you know, this probably held him back from a life full of potential where he could have been amazing at something, but his beliefs had kept him down on this level that he would never be anything more than following people around. So Jackie, I want to ask about like, you know, like what, you know, do you often see people from that are carrying this burden around from the youngest of ages, and how can these limiting beliefs be transformed into something to hold more success for them than what they truly believe? Is it as simple as being able to change this, you know?
Yes. I love this question so much, Leah. You know, I was talking to Bruce. Are you familiar with, you would be familiar with Bruce Lipton's work. I was talking to Bruce about this on my podcast, and
give a little, sorry, so before you go on, Jackie, tell everyone about your podcast, because it is like the #1 episode on there, isn't it? It's your #1.
Yes. And you know, yeah. And that is actually a great point. Bruce is a personal hero of mine. He has had such a powerful, you know, transformational impact on me. And my vision when I created the podcast was to have Bruce as my launch guest. Yeah. And I thought, how am I going to make that happen? But it's a really good story to tell, because it illustrates exactly what we've been talking about. I just needed to know the destination. That was my destination. I didn't even know how I was going to get there. And the story it's a beautiful story. So I thought, I was nervous to get up the courage to invite Bruce on my podcast. And I had his book, and I thought, I'm going to open the book and whatever page I land on, it's going to have a message for me. And Leo, you know, you've studied Psych, so you know about messages. And I opened the book, and the page was Bruce saying, I'm an endless optimist and a spiritual scientist. And I thought, that's what I am. That's how I describe myself. And I thought, wow, what a mirror. And I made him a video, and I told him the story. And, you know, and anyway, he is my launch guest podcast. He is the first guest that I had on the podcast, and we had such a beautiful chat. He's a wonderful man. And we were talking on the podcast about this exact topic, about we are playing programs that aren't even ours. So yes, this boy was told something, but we're also brought into this world having inherited patterns and belief patterns about problems that weren't even our own. So, you know, the sooner that we can recognize, and I think it's a beautiful time to be in the world, because there's more and more people talking about this. You know, 20 years ago, maybe not so much, but now people are very much more open-minded to what could be holding you back. So I think this is the secret sauce. If you can understand and have an awareness about what patterns are creating your behaviors, and are they programs that are supporting you, or are they programs that are holding you back? And Bruce talks so beautifully about and he's got a book about it, The Honeymoon Effect. So he talks so beautifully about his love story. You know, he met his beautiful wife, and they are so in love, but it took a long time for him to find her, because he had a pattern running that he was never going to find love. And so, you know, it's just a good time, again, that N=1. What is going on for you? And, you know, what is your destination? And are there things holding you back from getting to that destination? And if there are, like, why do you want to have those patterns running? So I love the biology belief and the work that Bruce does. And my mission is to help people raise awareness about the language that people are using, because your language represents your beliefs.
I love that. Sorry.
I'm going to have to go. Oh, I just want to go listen to that episode. I wrote it down, so I'll have to link that up. It sounds awesome.
Oh, honestly, yeah, it's transformational. Like my podcast is the Feel Better Now podcast. That episode, I have people calling me from their cars. They're like, and because Bruce is very well known to us on this podcast, but he may not be known, which I'm so proud of getting more and more people across him and Rob Williams's work. And I have people that aren't familiar with him that now know that they might be holding themselves back, and not to be a victim. It's so many people are going around blaming their mother. You would know this from Psych Kaylee, like it's always the mother. It's not your mother. Like, you are not a victim. And so, you are in charge of your own story. You are the creator of your reality. So what reality do you want to create? It's completely your choice.
Oh yes, so true. I love that. I'm getting goosebumps as you're talking, Jackie. It does make you think though, like once you know this stuff, you're like, I'm always like so careful with the words I use around my children. I'm always like, am I going to be setting them up for a lifetime of blaming their mother for words that I've chosen as adding to their limiting beliefs?
They are so lucky to have been connected to you. But it's great to talk about that, because your children are connected to you, and you have been connected to your children for a reason. I mean, you can go down a huge rabbit warren thinking about it that way. But our children, they're miracle. They have so much. They are our teachers, and we are their teachers, and it's beautiful to perceive the world that way.
So true. They give us a lot of lessons that we need to pay attention to and not just brush off. I can tell you that.
Yes, that's right.
Well, Jackie, like I don't really have any more questions about this article, because you just summed it up so beautifully. And what I want to talk about now, unless Holly has any other questions, is really like how people can connect with you and get in touch and find out more about you, because like I feel like we've just only had just the tip of the iceberg about all the amazing things that you do and present to the world. And people are probably like so interested now. They're probably like, Jackie, like I want to know more. Where can I find out more? So tell people, like, where can they find more about you and everything?
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for your kind words. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your amazing podcast, and for the work that you do and the missions that you and Holly have in helping the world be a better place, helping unleash people's potential, because the work that you do is incredible, and your podcast is awesome. So it's a real honor. I'm pretty active on Instagram. So my Instagram's my name, Jackie Bowker, and I have a podcast that's very new. So I'd love any feedback. I'd love people to listen to that podcast. It's called the Feel Better Now podcast. So we get really practical about helping you with tips and strategies to feel better now. And that's everyone from Dr. Tom O'Brien's coming up, obviously Bruce Lipton coming from a place of what programs you're running, Tom O'Brien, Dr. Tom with gut health. We've had Dr. Fab Mancini, JJ Virgin. So real variety of guests that live a life of service and exist to help you feel better. So, and my website is feelbetterinstitute.com. I'd love you to take the 10-question How's Your Energy quiz, so that you can understand a little bit more when you're answering these questions. And, the answer is always rarely, I rarely do this, I rarely do that. That's great. These are wonderful messages. This is great awareness, and it doesn't matter where you are on your journey. All you have to do is take the very next step to feeling better. So that's my mission, and I hope that I can help in some way on your journey.
Oh, that's so good. Take the next step now and go and follow Jackie and listen to her podcast and you'll be on your way to be feeling better now. So thanks so much, Jackie, for being on the podcast. Holly, do you have anything you want to wrap up with?
No, just thank you. This was really fun. Great conversation. I'm so glad you're able to join us.
So great.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks so much, Jackie. That's the end of today's episode. Our theme music is created by Andrew Bowden and our production services are created by Kevin Kennedy Spain of Disc of Life Media. Have a great week, everybody.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Bye-bye.
Thank you.